What is the approach, the foundational theoretical core of how I approach the services here at Student Success Tutor? I'm Jason Hopkinson, and I'm going to explain why what I do here is truly foundational and truly amazing. I'm going to summarize it very simply to start with, and then I'll get into the complexity after I've done that. At a simple level that hopefully a child or a high school student could understand is there are three things that are the foundation of us being a human being. And if one of these don't work, then you're dysfunctional to some degree. So the first one is state awareness. This is what separates us out from the animals that I have in this website. We have the capacity to be state aware. How am I feeling? So I call that core life skill number one, state awareness. Parrots and koalas do not have this. Neither does your cat or your dog or your budgie, right? State awareness. The other thing that makes us different from other animals is the capacity to be self-honest and self-monitor. So we have the capacity to know how we're feeling. Do we want to see it? This is very foundational, because if you don't own what's going on inside of you, then you're not going to change it. If you don't want to see it, then often what happens is people put it out there into the environment, and it's called dumping your baggage on people in some of the phrases that are used. But if you're not owning what's going on, then it's not going to change, is it? If a student is not studying and they're not motivated, if they're not going to acknowledge, I'm not motivated here, perhaps there's something I can do, then nothing's going to happen. Any parent or teacher, it's probably one of the main things they talk about at parent-teacher interviews. And it's why the problems crop up. This applies to everybody. Flatmates, family members, wider community, people that don't own their stuff. What's the dynamic that makes these change? It's the third factor, and it's the second part of what I call Law Zero. Self-honesty is part one. Self-responsibility. It's up to me. It's up to me to change how I feel. It's up to me to be responsible to do something to change. It's up to me to be self-honest and self-aware as in what needs to change. Is it something inside of me, or is it actually something in the environment? Again, that comes down to ownership, doesn't it? Self-honesty. And being self-responsible. So these three things are the basis of why a human is different to an animal. When you work from these, then we can start moving forward to the next layer. So how do you work with this? Firstly, you practice the state awareness, life skill number one in the life skill section of this website. Then getting yourself into the whole brain, whole neurology, in the body neurology, activated state, which I call the learning state. There's lots of other names for it out there. I'm calling it the learning state because this is about students, and I'm using plain language. It applies in a lot of different fields. Okay, so learning state, left and right hemispheres of the brain turned on, of the neocortex in the body. Now when you're in the body, you're aware of the stress, you can relax. What that then does is, because you're relaxed and your neurology is working, means you can learn better, means you can remember better, means you can function better, means you can do all those things in the movies that the superheroes do, because they are cool, calm and collected and can function at that level. As a human, when we are in this whole brain, whole neurology state, it's often called things like the flow. It's where you can perform at your best because you're unconscious, all the pathways are open. Right? That's assuming you have the pathways, but this is where we're heading. When you turn your whole neurology on, your whole brain, your whole body, as much neurology down here and the solar plexuses are up here in between your ears, you can then function better, perform better, your body works better, stress is down. All learning is state dependent. Your state is related to the function of your neurology. So if your neurology's in that place of the learning state, it has an effect on your brainwave cycles, the brainwave patterns, the alpha and the theta patterns get bigger. It means all of this is working better. When we're stressed, everything shuts down and we revert more into the deeper parts of the brain, the amygdala, the emotional center, the brainstem, and you go on fight, flight. This is, we have inherited this from the animals, and we are instinctual animals, and it will run us. If you're not feeling good, if you're in the traffic lights that are yellow for caution, or red as in dysfunctional, or extreme red, very dysfunctional, your brain doesn't work. You cannot learn, you cannot function in an exam, you cannot play tennis correctly. You can't be happy around your friends or even relax properly in front of the TV. And then that stores in the body. And when we store stress in the body, we tend not to be aware of it. Therefore it stays there, and then that creates ill health, and you don't sleep and all the rest. Okay? So, turn the whole neurology on. Bing! Left, right brain, body, learning state. Your neurology is then most easily be able to access. That is the learning state. Now, it's a skill, and you get better and better and better and better at it. That also applies to how to be state aware. It also has an impact on the concept of self-honesty, and it's not really to do with lying to yourself. It is, but it isn't. But the more self-honest you are, the more nuanced, the more detailed and refined you can be in regards to what's going on inside all of you, from here down to your toes, your hands, your tummy, your legs, and the thinking processes. Okay? This grows, and it takes effort and practice. So does self-responsibility. It's hard to do things you haven't done before. It's hard to learn new skills. It's hard to try it in situations that are more emotionally charged or impact our sense of self, our sense of me, like, oh, I might fail, you know, getting out of the social norm of doing something different. So we deal with all of these factors here at Student Success Tutor with how I've set everything up. If they want to, comes down to how much self-honesty they have and how much they want to grow that, and self-responsibility, how much they participate. It's a place for them to blossom these two core things, and every teacher, excuse the body language, every teacher, when you go to a parent-teacher interview, or indeed your manager at your job, or your subordinate if you're the boss, will reflect on these two factors. How honest are they, and how much of their own stuff do they take in terms of how they're, you know, looking after us or whatever. So this applies to everybody, and these qualities grow as you place your attention on it and work on it through your state awareness. So the learning state, as I term it here, is where you turn on your neurology with your awareness, your self-honesty, your desire to look and act on it. These will grow. Makes you more able to have really good memory. Neurons work from exercise. Okay, core role model inside this website here is Arnold Schwarzenegger, because I've pinched his 5 laws of success. So he's probably one of the most won the most trophies in terms of bodybuilding that there's ever been. And then he's a movie star. New movie coming out soon. Can't wait to see it. Okay, he's been the governor of the 5th most biggest economy in the world, which is the state of California. I mean, this guy's really achieved. So that's why his video's there. He exercised his muscles to get it really big, but what he also did was he exercised his muscles of these factors, being state aware in everything he did, which is how you do weightlifting correctly, or act correctly, or be a governor of a powerful economy. He took self-responsibility. It was up to him. Well, he was honest about where he was at, and then he acted on it. He took responsibility. So he's a model of those 3 things in action. So when you build those, you act on it, it also turns on your brain so you learn. The brain grows, even in old people. If you exercise the brain, you don't waste away and get dementia and Alzheimer's and all that stuff. There's now neuro research coming through about how some of this stuff can be reversed. The brain is very, very plastic. So it's a matter of learning how that works. And there are some other complex things we can talk about in terms of learning conditions and stuff at a different time. So, learning state means you can learn. Go to an exam, instead of stressing out, shutting down the neural pathways so you can't think and answer, and you spend too much time on one question, then you freak out even more because you've got so much more you're missing out on. Go into the learning state. It's all there for you. So this takes us on to the next part, talking about our neurology, our brain, and how that works in terms of us. We are mostly unconscious, which is why we don't see it unless we're state aware. We're self-honest about it and self-responsible about doing something about it and checking in and owning it. So our unconscious mind takes care of everything except for what we're currently thinking about. So you might be thinking about what you're having for lunch instead of watching this video. So that means you're not aware of your breathing, you're not aware of your feet until I said it. And even though I say that, only you, self-honesty and self-responsibility, can choose to check your feet. Is one foot hotter than the other? Is one foot feeling weird compared to the other? Only you can check. So all of this, the bulk of you, is unconscious. How do you work with that? To simplify this, and it's throughout the website and it's in every video, and it's why I do the animal videos as well to demonstrate it, is you relate to your unconscious like it is a 5-year-old. Your unconscious mind is like that newborn baby. It is a massive mega learning machine that is open, caring, moral, and it wants to help you have the best life. So I say it's like a 5-year-old, talk to it like one. 5-year-old best friend, brother, sister, which is how I talk to the birds in the videos, and the koalas and other things that I greet. So that's the simple version. Your unconscious mind is a 5-year-old. How do you work with it? Treat it like a 5-year-old. Simple. Anybody can understand that. That's probably over 7 years old and is now starting to glaze over with the personality, and the unconscious mind is getting filled up with stuff that it's going to have to process for the rest of its life. This is how we work. So those habits are formed through observing the role models, observing the environment, and dealing with the stresses, and the unconscious does its own thing regarding certain patterns. So at the simple level, it is a 5-year-old. Now we get into the complexities of the unconscious. The unconscious runs under a set of rules. In a computer, it would be the BIOS. Okay? And it tells it how to run the hard disk and the monitor, and what order things fire up and all that sort of stuff. You run on prime directives, and this is talked about in the NLP field, neuro-linguistic programming, which I was certified as an international trainer of back in March 2000. These are like rules of how it works, and some people might have slightly different ones, but they're all kind of the same. These particular rules will dictate how your unconscious mind behaves, functions, and does. So it takes care of your breathing, your digestion, takes care of how you deal with people you like. It deals with how it works with emotions, how it stores emotions, how it stores memory, everything to do with learning, because it takes care of your brain and your body. So when these rules are known and understood, you can work with your unconscious mind like it's a 5-year-old, or you can get a little bit more complex with the prime directives and look at specific items to really assist you moving forward and understand, oh, that's why I act out all the time. So there's the prime directives there, and in this website, which is quite extensive because it's also a reference base for parents and teachers and students for them to do their homework with if they want to understand what we're working towards. when you understand these rules, or just really work on, it's a 5-year-old, best friend, talk to it nicely, it will respond. It will bring you more into the learning state. It will bring you to the place of happiness. It will help you to resolve your emotional stuff, your baggage, your psychological thingies. That's a technical term, thingies. Right? Then what happens is, because if you practice the learning state, like I go on about endlessly on this website and all the videos, for study primarily, but also in life, in the job, when you're driving the car, it's really important because you're in peripheral vision, you can see what's happening. Because you're at your most resourceful, you can deal with every situation in the best way possible, because you do have access, your unconscious mind has access to all your neurology. If you're not in the green traffic light, or specifically the learning state, which is a subset of the green traffic light where you're good, where you're okay and at peace, if you're in the yellow, which is caution, it puts stress in the body, right? Gets the adrenaline going. That fires up certain parts of the brain for quick action, quick energy. Then there's the red, where you're just in straight reaction, fight, flight. As humans, the need to run away from a bear is pretty rare these days, okay? Or a lion or tiger snake here in Australia. Although if you stand still, they tend to go away. Get what I'm saying? As humans, we don't really need red. Unless you're about to have a fight with another human being, or you're in a car crash and you've got to do something superhuman to get out of the way. The idea is then, as you practice, your neurology gets used to being in the learning state. Because you're state aware, you become practiced at checking in your state all the time. You're becoming a lot more self-honest, and you're aware of the nuances of being in the learning state, which is full function. And of course you're responsible for it because you're the one doing it. And that becomes normal. That becomes the default setting. When you're in that place, and I'm going to bring in Carl Jung now, one of the greatest psychological forefathers of humanity, he talked about the pinnacle of human development is called the individuation process, where the big self with the big S joins with the little self, the ego, that thing which is developed after 7 years old, that sort of process, come back together. The innocence, the wholeness of the child, the whole neurology, your whole unconscious comes together with you, the person. So for me, the Jason, for you, the whatever your name is that you use that people call you by, right? They come together into wholeness. That's what I call Law 10 and the laws of success, mastery, individuation. And there's a whole process there. There's a whole process you go through. It actually takes a wee while. But if you master the learning state and coming into this place all the time, that is the outcome. Wholeness. Because you're in, by definition, the learning state. You're in the green traffic light. You're in full neurology. Mind, body, emotions, mind, body, the whole thing. That is individuation. And with practice, and as that settles, post-individuation process, it deepens to the point you never lose it. Don't lose it. Even when you are emotionally steamed up, or when you've been hit by a car, hence the emergency response page. In severe pain, severe relationship issues, the whole thing, you can still have that whole brain, neurology, body connection going on, even though you've got various levels of emotional red traffic lights and yellow traffic lights going on inside of your body, with the amygdala going off with emotions and stuff like that. You can still hold that connection so you can deal with it as a response, not a reaction. The awareness is there. So this is how this foundation all comes together and builds not just a great student, that gets better grades, but it does build a great student that can then tackle life, that has the ability to, oh, I'm in an interesting environment here, I know how to learn, I can deal with this. Hence the future-proofing, the AI challenge, the rate of change that's going on here, the rate of environmental change, the whole thing. Like, some things need to change. These skills make you flexible because, one, you know how to learn, you know how to control your neurology and your consciousness and work with your unconsciousness, either as the 5-year-old or, if you're more defined about it, the different prime directives, so you can process that stuff faster. I don't know if that journey ever finishes, really. I'm still sorting out stuff. So, but you can individuate and not lose it. The evidence is there because, one, you're self-aware all the time and you're checking in your state, self-honest enough to go, yeah, am I actually fully turned on here neurologically? Self-honesty. Otherwise you're lying to yourself. We know when we're lying to ourselves, even if we're pretending we don't want to see it. That's just called straight out unconsciousness. And responsibility. I am self-responsible. What am I going to do about it? You know, I know when I go into avoidance. I know when I'm being slacking off. You know, I'm aware that I'm doing it. I own it. If I get stuck in social media too long and have to change the habit, okay, we'll go through this stuff, right? When you hold all these together, eventually, because of the way the unconscious mind works with the prime directives, the easiest path to least resistance becomes the default habit, unless there's severe trauma there, which is another prime directive. Okay, then you just go off the handle and go into bizarre behaviour patterns that are usually quite destructive. We all know people like that. We all probably live with people that have various aspects of that going, because it's what humans do, because they don't do the state awareness, they don't be totally self-honest, they don't take self-responsibility, so they act out. So as humans, not many of us individuate, which is why Carl Jung says, when you do, you are the leaders of tomorrow for the collective unconscious, making that groove bigger so everybody else just funnels in. This is the outcome with mastery here, not just going from a C to a B, or from a B to an A+, or from a D to a C+ at school. It's the foundational basis of this person going out into society and being a productive member of society, a caring member of society, and someone that contributes to society either through working or giving service or consciously holding themselves in that place that helps raise everybody else. I hope that made sense. So in summary, state awareness, core life skill, totally required for learning, because learning is state dependent. Being self-honest about it, gauging it, which is a practice and it grows. I'm still growing mine, okay? Self-responsibility, how much of this am I owning and how much am I actually going to do something about it? Regardless of what's gone on before in my past, regardless of what the environment is doing now, regardless of how much time I have till the exam. All those things. What am I going to do about it now? So that's why when you deepen yourself in the learning state through using these 3 factors, you become more functional. You learn better. Your brain works because you're using it properly. Those are the 2 core life skills. Then you talk to your child, your inner you, your unconscious, treat it like your best mate, love yourself, all that sort of stuff. That's where that comes in. And you become happy. That is the main driver of being a human being. After survival, it's to be happy. We look for relationships, nice food, nice people, nice relationships, nice houses, nice job, because we think it's going to make us be happy. When you live in the learning state by default, It's a priori, it's always here. Even when stuff is tough, there is still peace and joy at the same time. It takes a while to get used to that, a couple of years. So that's the psychological foundation and the building blocks that are built into everything we do here. So how do we build this foundation in? Next step. Well, there's law zero. We've already talked about those two, haven't we? Self-honesty, self-responsibility, law zero. So then we bring in the laws of success, the 10 laws of success. First 5 by Arnold Schwarzenegger. Laws 6 to 10, the second 5 I have added because it's what I've done. It's what actually, when you listen to what Arnold talks about, they're inherently built in there too anyway. Mind you, I know what I'm looking for. So then you have specific things you can look at and go, oh yeah, oh, there's an area I'm missing out on. Okay, maybe I'm not applying enough. Maybe my vision isn't big enough. Maybe because when I get knocked back, I don't get up off the floor. Do I have a yay-saying community around me, which is what the Mastery Club is all about? Do I have role models in my life? There's videos here with role models in them. Jacinda Ardern, well, Arnold Schwarzenegger, I talk about some sports stars and various other people. These people inspire us. So there's the role models. Do we have people that show us how we can become what we want to be so we can meet our vision? If we know what it is. Otherwise, we work on finding it. So those 10 laws help us implement. With the learning state awareness, makes you a great student. So, once you know how to work in neurology, then you can take that even a step further with the whole brain study skills, which if you're in the Adult Mastery Club, you don't need to know those. We just work on this stuff. I mean, this is enough. Students get an extra dose of work, how to study correctly. Just techniques that naturally use left and right brain. Ping! Some of it's as simple as listening to the right sort of music, going into the learning state, how long, the review process, correct note taking, and how to nail your exam. Strategic techniques. So that is the package. So if this doesn't seem totally solid to you, and you can see a hole in it, please give me the feedback. I'd love to hear. But from what I can see, it's grounded in the basis of who you are as a human to help you be the best human you can be. And the way I go about it helps you to maximize that and take it on board. So then that takes us on to the services here. Tutoring, 2 types of packages. If you want some specifics, we'll get into the nitty-gritties. We can work through where you are in this model I've just explained, so we build the foundation properly. You can't work up here when down here, when the concrete foundation's missing, the house falls down. But we can work on the whole lot and maximize what we can. Tutoring, designed to build all of these things in the foundation. State awareness, self-honesty, self-responsibility, mastering the learning state, the laws of success, the law zero, the study techniques, how to deal with life, how to deal with people, how to work with your emotions, all that stuff. It's the full package. So if you have any questions or you want to check out the services and you want to ask me a question, please make contact. If you're sending me emails, please give me all the information so I can call you and we can sort it out quickly. If you are part of an educational institution, a school or a university or something, you want to bring some of these services in, please contact me. We can do custom tailored packages and prices that suit your price bracket because you've got numbers of people. This stuff's powerful. It is cutting edge. Neuroscience is confirming it these days with their research. I already know this stuff because I've lived it and observed it obsessively for 30 years. So I hope that made sense. The rest of the website now should make a lot more sense to you. So looking forward to hearing from you, looking forward to working with you. I'm Jason for StudentSuccessTutor.com.